I am speaking to you from the roof terrace of Beit Chai, here in the center of Jerusalem. While we are speaking, you will hear all sorts of noises of everyday life that's happening in Jerusalem. And so I want to share something extremely exciting about 2016. We're going to have 10 weeks which we are dedicating to a course that we call Practical Ministries and Discipleship. A Practical Ministries and Discipleship course that will equip you to be able to fulfill the purpose and plan that the Father in heaven has for you. So this will happen from the 3rd of February until the 10th of April. Now, let me explain this to you. We're going to do it in 5 2-week segments. And I will explain what we're going to do in every segment right now. But what is important is to understand that somebody can actually come and just do 1 2-week segment if they want to. They don't have to come for the whole of the 10 weeks. We've divided it up into 5 2-week segments, and you can do just 1 2-week segment depending on which one you would want to do. However, it will be best if somebody will do all 5 of these segments. So let me explain to you what we will do. We want to equip people to be able to do that which the Father has created them for. And to be able to do that, we have to lay a certain foundation. Now, the foundation that we need to lay is like a building block on top of one another. And that's why I've said it would be better for somebody to do all 5 of these units and not just 1. But, however, we know it's not possible for everybody to come here for 10 weeks. And so therefore we said, okay, there is the option to just do 1 of the 5 units. So let me explain to you what these 5 segments are all about. The first one is where we will look at the first 5 books of the Bible. And we will look at how it is divided. Now, what is important is this, that we need to understand that from the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, what they did was to take the first 5 books of the Bible and to divide it into portions. In Hebrew, we call such a portion a parasha, or the plural of it is parashot. Now, why did Ezra actually do this? And the men of the Great Assembly, why did they start this reading program? Well, this is why. During the 70 years of exile, the people did not read the Torah. They did not read the Bible. And so Ezra says, never again must it happen that when people are removed from the temple, that they will not hear the word of God. Now, you know, if you really want to be scared, you should go and just Google this. The average percentage of Christians that really read the Bible. It's scary. What is even more horrific is the fact that people do not understand what they're reading. They're reading it, but they don't know how to get something out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how these first 5 books of the Bible is divided into 54 of these portions. And that what they did not just go and take all the verses, divide it by 54 and say, okay, we'll read, so much every week. No, what they did was they said, let's start and see what the theme is with which we are starting and read until that theme is completed. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to look at these portions and we will say, let's have a look at how this was actually divided. What is the main idea behind everyone? And then if we can see what the main idea is, we will understand the Bible just so much better. So the first building block is going to be to teach people how to interpret the scriptures correctly. And we're practically going to do it from these 54 portions in that first 2 weeks. The second unit is now taking that which we've done in the first 2 weeks, where we've said, let's understand the Bible and how it's divided, especially now the first 5 books of the Bible. And when we understand that, then the rest of the Bible just falls into place. But now the second unit is to understand the Bible from the original culture and the customs and the idiom and the language from which it was written. You know, if I would write a letter to you today in your particular language, within the culture that you are, and I would use a certain concept that are very familiar to you and to everybody else in that culture, I don't have to explain it because you know exactly what it is. And so, likewise, the Bible was written in a very specific culture and in a very specific language and an idiom and a rhythm of time. And if we do not understand that, then we are bound to miss what the Bible is really saying, and we are in the danger of misinterpreting the scriptures. But if I understand what the background is, then I will know. So we will teach you how to go through those stages of understanding the Bible. Firstly, to say what is the most basic way of understanding it, the most simple way of reading it. Secondly, where do I find something else in the Bible that are, you know, those situations are more or less the same, like a twin. Thirdly, does it apply to me? How is my situation the same as the people that was there in that time? So how does it apply to me? And then only to get to the mystical understanding of it. A lot of times we run directly to the mystical understanding. So we will teach you how to then take the scriptures and to understand the scriptures. Now that brings us to the third unit, which is like a highlight. Behind me here, I have a model of the tabernacle. And when you read Hebrews chapter 8 and 9, you see that Yeshua is our high priest, and he is the one that is now serving within a heavenly tabernacle, which is us, built of living stones, not made with hands. But then it says that Moses had to go and construct this unique structure. Well, he actually had to tell the people to do it so that God could dwell among them. So whatever we want to learn about the New Testament temple, this temple not made with hand, this heavenly tabernacle, is somewhere encoded in this structure. And so we're going to look at this structure. We'll look at every type of material that was used. What does that material mean throughout the Bible? So we need to get central meanings because you need to be consistent. So what we've done in the first 2 units now will become a basis for what we will do in this third unit, where we will really look into the depths of what it's about and understand who we are, who the Messiah is, and how the Father wants to dwell among us. What is the rhythm of time that the Father has put in place with this, and how does all these things fit? You know, a lot of people read the Bible and they read it, you know, like fragmented. They read a little bit here and then they look at that subject on its own. They read a little bit here, they look at that subject on its own. They read a little bit here and they look at it. But all these things are interwoven. And in the tabernacle, we actually see how these things fit together into one. Then we're going to get to the application in your life, in my life. Now, this brings me to the fourth unit. The fourth unit is defining your calling, defining the anointing that God has put upon your life, and making a plan on how to go about on this road ahead. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through a document like this, where we will say, let's look at your redemptive gifts. Let's look at what is God's prophetic purpose for your life. And then we will sit and we will write down these things. We will teach you how to define the vision that God has for your life. Now, this is not just for people who want to be in ministry. It's for people who want to be in business. It's for people just in their everyday lives. You know, the Bible tells us, write down the vision so that those who read it might run with it. And a lot of times the reason why we're not achieving things is because we haven't written it down. We haven't written down the vision. We haven't written down the values. We haven't written down our aims, our objectives. We haven't made it into small steps. We haven't written down where we are at. And so if you don't know where you are, how would you know how to get to the next place? If you want to travel from one city to another, to know which route you have to take, you need to know where you start. So we will say, right, let's assess where you are. What do you have? What don't you have? And what is it that you need to do to overcome the hindrances of getting to the place where you need to be? And so in the end, when you are going to go away from here, you will have a manual in your hand as to how to go about to achieve that which God has for you. And then finally, in the fifth unit, we're going to get to how do you take that which God has done for you and which He has placed in your life and which is built into your life and which He's used other people in your life so that you can also multiply, that you can go and make disciples. You know, Matthew chapter 28 verse 19 says, go and make disciples. And if we are not making disciples, we're not fulfilling the calling that God has for our lives. So, with every one of the units, as we've gone along, you've seen the dates for that particular unit. You know when it is, when you can do this. And so, if you want to come to Jerusalem for the whole time, or if you want to come just for one segment, then you need to write to info@hebrewpeople.com. It's right here on the screen now. info@hebrewpeople.com. And we will register you and we will send you a letter to tell you what you need to do. Now, let me tell you what it's going to cost. For every 2 weeks that you will be coming, it will be 600 euro. That will include your accommodation and all of the course for 2 weeks. In other words, it's working out to less than 50 euros a day. It is, I mean, what shall I say about that? So, you will buy your own flight ticket. You will arrive a day before we start with the course, and you will fly out a day after we finish with the course. That's what it is, what it includes. So it's 600 euros for every 2 weeks. But if you're going to do all of it, it means that it should actually work out to 3,000 euro for the 10 weeks. But we will do it for 2,750 euros if somebody comes for all of the 10 weeks. I want to really urge you to join us for this, to be here with us in Jerusalem. So please join us for an exciting time of transformation in Jerusalem. I'm waiting for you. And we're going to have some coffee together. And we're not just going to have lectures. But we're going to have a time where we will discuss these things so that it'll become a part of our lives. And we will go away from here, people who are transformed. May God bless you as you journey to discover what it is that He has for you and how to go and live that and also share it with others.